ranking every Juggernog location. And coming in at the bottom of our list today, we have got Transit. Now, when you've got a map's layout that's in the state that Transit's layout is in, it's kind of inevitable that Transit's going to find itself at the bottom of our list. I mean, seriously, this layout is just a complete disaster. They really should have had it so that power was at maybe the first stop and then had Juggernog at the second or third bus stop, instead of having it in some back ass corner of the town, which just happens to be about as far away from anything else that you could possibly get on the map. I mean, first of all, Juggernog's location within the town is already pretty diabolical. I mean, it is right in the corner of this room, and if you happen to get trapped, there is no escape path for you. You are absolutely screwed. And second of all, because there's no wall weapons or really anything else like that in town, training or camping here is kind of off limits. So what that means is that in the later rounds, you're obviously going to be training or camping somewhere else on the map. And if you happen to go down, you are going to have to go on the ultimate mission just to get Juggernog back again. And so when you sum up all that, there really is nothing going for this Juggernog location at all. And ultimately, that's why it finds itself at the bottom of our list. Coming into the number 18 spot on our list today, we have got Moon. Now, I have two problems with this Juggernog spot. The first one, which is the obvious one, is that Juggernog and Speed Cola share the same spot. And so what that means is that you're only going to get Juggernog every second time you go to Area 51. So if you happen to go down whilst it's on a Speed Cola rotation, you are going to have to head to Area 51 twice just to get Juggernog back. And ultimately what that means is that you are going to either go down or get a game over in the process. And second of all, Juggernog's location in Area 51 on the sort of teleporter pad thing can be a little bit tricky. I mean, it is right in the corner of this little spot, and because the zombies are so fast in Area 51, you can easily get trapped here if you're not careful enough, which has happened to me a few times, unfortunately. Although, if I had to say one good thing about this Juggernog location, it is the fact that you can buy it before round 1 even starts, which is obviously very helpful, but I don't think that comes anywhere close to overriding the other issues that I have with it. And so ultimately, Moon finds itself at the number 18 spot. Alright, coming into the number 17 spot on our list, we have got Gorecovy. Now, my problem with Gorecovy actually has nothing to do with the location of Juggernog on the map itself, but more so the area that Juggernog is located in. So, this room has got to be one of the smallest and most cramped rooms in all of Zombies. I mean, there is barely enough room in here to outstretch both arms, let alone fit a Juggernog machine in here. I mean, it is not too bad on the early rounds. You can kind of just manage the zombies and then pick the right time to go in and buy Juggernog. If you happen to go down on the later rounds, it can be quite a nightmare going in there, buying Jug, and getting out through the tight doorways before the zombies start piling in. And there is absolutely no escape route if you happen to get trapped as well. I really think with Juggernog spots like this, they should put in something like an escape slide or an escape path in case you do happen to get trapped for like 500 points or so. So at least then you don't have to stress so much when you're just trying to buy Juggernog. But because that obviously does not exist on Gorecovy, it's just going to have to stick at the number 17 spot today. Coming into our number 16 spot today, ladies and gentlemen, we have got 5. And before I get into discussing 5, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to make a quick disclaimer that all these rankings are just my own opinion, and there is little to no objective basis that I use when ranking them. So anyway, on to 5. In my opinion, one of the most unassuming Juggernog locations of all time. At face value, this Juggernog spot seems pretty good. I mean, it is on the middle floor of the map, which is where you normally train, and it's also kind of on the pathway that you use when training. However, this Juggernog spot is one of the most responsible for my most downs when buying Juggernog in all of Zombies. And that's because of the fact that it's kind of in this little cutout in the wall where the doors to Pack-a-Punch normally open as you're coming out. And because of that, you kind of have to go into this little cutout to buy Juggernog. And in here, it is unbelievably easy to get trapped by zombies. All it takes is for one zombie to come in at the wrong time and you're absolutely done for. There is no escape route, and obviously there is no decent wonder weapon on 5 that would get you out of trouble. It's just so frustrating because it just gets me every time I play this map. And so because of that, I have decided to put 5 at the number 16 spot. Alright, coming into our number 15 spot, we have got Forsaken. Now, funnily enough, I nearly decided not to include this map on this list because I just hate it that much. And anyway, with this Juggernog location, it is in the first area that you teleport to after spawn, which I suppose you could say is kind of good. And also the fact, again, that with Cold War, you do not need to turn on the power to access Juggernog, which I suppose that you have to give it a little bit of credit for that. And the area itself isn't too bad. I mean, you could maybe go down if you're not careful, but I mean, if you're careful enough, you'll be fine. The main reason I just don't like this is just because of Forsaken's layout itself. I just really dislike the way this map is stringed together with teleporters. I think it's absolutely diabolical and just makes for not a fun time at all. And so I always find it a pain to have to go around and, you know, buy Juggernog again or really do anything in the map. And really, Forsaken at the number 15 spot just really, unfortunately, comes down to the layout of the map. Coming into the number 14 spot on our list today, ladies and gentlemen, we have got Call of the Dead. Now, my first complaint with this Juggernog location is that it is so far away from just about anywhere else on the map. I mean, if it wasn't for Pack-a-Punch being quite close to it, I would go as far to say that it is basically isolated from every other part of the map. I mean, there is seriously nothing else around here. And whenever you go down, it is always such a mission to have to go and buy Juggernog again. And my second complaint with this is that, again, it is such a tight and cramped space. And especially with having to wade through the water to get to it, there are so many times where you just get overwhelmed by zombies as you're trying to buy Juggernog here. And the only reason why it's not further down on the list is because it actually does have an escape option, where there is a door right next to it that you can open if you happen to get trapped as you're buying Juggernog. So if it wasn't for that, Call of the Dead would for sure find itself lower on the list just because it's so far away and the area that it is in is so cramped. But because it's got an escape route, I feel like that at least bumps it up a couple spots on our list today. Coming into the number 13 spot on our list today, we have got Kino Durten. Easily one of the most notorious Juggernog locations on our list today. It's almost like the game is trying to set you up to be down by putting it here. I mean, once again, it is right in the corner of this little pocket in the stage area. And I have had so many downs and game overs in this area, it is not funny. And yet again, there is absolutely no escape option if you happen to get trapped, which is more often than not. In saying that, if it wasn't for the fact that it's in this corner, it would be one of the best Juggernog locations of all time. Just because it's so close to all the relevant parts of the map. I mean, you've got the stage nearby, you've got the fire trap pretty close, you've got the spawn room pretty close as well. And so it is in a pretty decent spot on the map. But because it's in this tight corner, that's what holds it back from being any higher on our list. Coming into the number 12 spot on our list today, we have got Origins. Now, first of all, I just want to start off by saying that it is in a great spot overall on the map. It's pretty central, it's pretty close to the excavation site, and it's also right next to the wind tunnel, which is normally the tunnel that you often find yourself using the most. So overall, great location, but the specific corner that it's in itself at Gen 4 is probably the Juggernog location that is the most responsible for downing me as I'm trying to buy it. I mean, because it doesn't look that dodgy at first glance, but even as you're buying Juggernog, all it takes is for one zombie to trap you in there and you're absolutely finished. And again, I don't know why they have to put Juggernog in these tight little corridors. It really does just feel like a trap sometimes. And it's so frustrating as well because it just gets me every time. And so when you balance those two things out, I think that ends up with Origins being somewhere around the middle of our list. Alright, coming into the 11th spot on our list today, we have got Duice. Now, the only reason Duice finds itself this high on our list is because this Juggernog location is possibly the most iconic in all of zombies. But other than that, this Juggernog location has got absolutely nothing going for it. Once again, it is in such a cramped spot there is absolutely no escape route if any zombies happen to come in. And second of all, if you're playing on co-op and happen to go down, it is quite the mission to have to go and buy Juggernog again. Because most likely what you're going to be doing with your mates is camping up on the catwalk or in that sort of area of the map. And if you go down, you've got to go all the way down and around, back up, across the bridge, and into that little corridor where Juggernog is located. Probably the most furthest away spot on the map from the catwalk. And so ultimately, if it wasn't for just how iconic this Juggernog location is, Duice would be much further down on the list. Coming into the number 10 spot, and quite literally middle of our list, we have got the map Verac. Now first of all, Juggernog on this map is located in quite an iconic spot, being in one of 2 spawn rooms that are on this map. So it's got that going for it, and the location on the map itself isn't really the greatest or the worst. I mean, it is quite far from the power / mystery box area of the map, but as the map itself is quite small, and often when you're training you are running around the whole map, it's never really too far away, and the location itself is a little prone to getting trapped, but because there's 2 entries and exits, you can kind of just go in one and come out the other without too much hassle. So overall, Verac, it's not the greatest, it's not the worst. It is quite literally just an average Juggernog location, and in the end it finds itself at our number 10 spot. Coming into the number 9 spot on our list today, we have got Firebase Z. Now once again, this is very much just an average Juggernog spot. I mean, the location within the map is pretty okay. When I play this map normally, I will usually find myself training / camping in the spawn area. So if I go down, Juggernog is kinda on the opposite end of the map, but because again the map is not that big, it's not too much of a hassle. And Juggernog on this map is right next to one of the power locations, which is super handy, because normally once you've completed the power ritual thing, you have enough points to grab Juggernog. So that's always handy. And the Juggernog area itself is kinda cramped, but once again, it's not a closed off corner like some of the lower spots on our list. So it's just okay. But with it being so close to one of the power spots, I think it at least deserves to be in the number 9 spot. Coming into the number 8 spot on our list today, we have got Madur Toen. Now, the location of Juggernog on this map is kind of the opposite to Firebase Z, in the fact that it's not really all that close to power at all. However, it is much closer to where I normally train / camp on the map, which personally I value just a little bit more. But the area that Juggernog is located in is quite similar to Firebase Z. It's very cramped, although it has got multiple ways in, and it at least has a rappel system nearby in case you get into a little bit of trouble. So overall, just a little bit better than Firebase Z, and that's what puts it in at the number 8 spot. Coming into our number 7 spot on our list today, we have got Ascension. And this map is placed this high for one reason and one reason only, because the location and area of Juggernog within the map is a complete nightmare, because once again we have got another very tight corridor leading up to Juggernog, and absolutely no escape options at all in the actual Juggernog spot in case you happen to get trapped. And also this spot is miles away from where you will normally train or be camping on the map. But the reason why it's so far away is kind of a byproduct of what makes it actually really decent. And what makes it really decent is that by accessing this Juggernog spot through this door next to Quick Revive makes it perfect for defending both Quick Revive and Juggernog on the monkey rounds. Because if you access Juggernog from the door on the other side, it is virtually impossible to defend both Quick Revive and Juggernog on the same round. But by opening this door next to Quick Revive, you can defend both and basically ensure that the monkeys at least never touch the 2 most crucial perks in solo. And for that reason, I believe Ascension deserves the number 7 spot. Coming into the number 6 spot on our list today, we have got Zetsubo no Shima. Now, this is the very definition of just a decent Juggernog spot. First of all, it is in a very central spot in terms of the map, as it is right next to the entrance to the bunker, which is very handy when you consider the sheer size of Zetsubo, and the fact that personally I typically train either right outside the bunker or I camp just down through the elevator in this sort of boss fight corridor, which is great because it always means that Juggernog is nearby. And the spot itself can be a bit tricky. I mean, if you're not quick enough, you can definitely get trapped, but at the same time, it is very avoidable if you are careful enough. And overall, the Zetsubo Juggernog is in a very solid spot. Coming into the number 5 spot on our list, ladies and gentlemen, we have got Mob of the Dead. Now, I mainly like this Juggernog location just because of the setting of it. I mean, it's got to be one of the most iconic Juggernog spots of all time. And that's because I just love the process of getting to Juggernog on Mob of the Dead. With, you know, hopping on the gondola, descending down to the docks, and just getting a great view of Alcatraz. It just really sets the scene of the map so well. And there really isn't anything else like it in Zombies. But however, if it wasn't because of that, this location would also be a lot lower on our list. And that is because the docks area itself is pretty irrelevant after the setting up process is done. And so you really never have to go back there ever again. And so if you happen to go down, having to go all the way back down there just to get Jug can be a little bit of a pain. And also the area, again, where Juggernog is located in, you are very, very prone to getting cornered or trapped in there. However, it does have a bit of an escape option with that door, although it does cost 2,000 points for some reason. I don't know why it's so expensive, but I guess I'd rather it be there than not. But overall, I think, honestly, that all that is overridden just by how iconic this location is. And like I said, I just love the setting of it. And so ultimately, that's why I put Mob of the Dead at the number 5 spot. Coming into the number 4 spot on our list today, we have got The Machine. Easily one of the most solid Juggernog spots on our list today, as it is very central on the map, which also, when considering that it is right on the pathway to power, and that you do not even have to turn on power to be able to buy this, which I believe is a bit of a problem, but I'm not going to get into it. Although in terms of this video, it definitely makes the spot even better. I mean, you can just buy Juggernog as you're going to power, and normally you have enough points to do so anyway. So overall, the location on the map is easily one of the best, if not the best. And also the area itself is quite open too. So it's not like you're really going to get trapped or go down as you're buying Juggernog, which is obviously great. And just overall, it's just a very well-rounded spot. And that's why it secures the number 4 spot on our list today. And coming into the number 3 spot on our list, we have got Revelations. Great Juggernog location. Because of the way that Revelations is laid out and the fact that Juggernog is located in the central Madur Toen area, it is never too far away from wherever you are on the map. And also, it is accessible straight away after you do the spawn room ritual, which, I mean, you could argue whether or not that's overall good, but in terms of this video, it certainly is. And also, it is located right next to the shield buildable table, which is great because normally when you go down, you also lose your shield. So you can just do both at the same time. And it's also right next to Pack-a-Punch as well. So it's in a very relevant spot. And the area itself, I mean, you could potentially get trapped there if you're not careful enough, but it's certainly not as bad as some of the other spots on our list. And overall, I don't think that comes anywhere near to overriding just how good the spot is on the map. And so because of all that, Revelations comes in at the number 3 spot. Coming into the number 2 spot on our list today, we have got Duice. Now, first of all, I absolutely love the fact that you can see this Juggernog spot from the spawn room. It is such a tease because even though it is right there, you've got to go all the way around the map just to be able to access it, which I think is pretty awesome. But overall, this Juggernog spot kind of owes it to just how well Duice is laid out. I mean, even though the map itself is fairly big, you never feel like you're too far away from anything. And so no matter where Juggernog is on this map, I feel like it would never really be a bad spot. But speaking of this Juggernog location, it's in a pretty decent spot. I mean, it's near the teleporter, it's near the bow area, it's near that 115 thing that launches you into the courtyard, it's near the Wonder Sphere landing spot in the spawn room, but most importantly, it is right near Quick Revive, which is great because it means if you go down, you can just go get Quick Revive and Juggernog all in one go, as they're so close to each other. My only critique for this location is that you can get trapped here pretty easily if you are not careful. There is no escape route. It is right in the corner of this tight little corridor, but ultimately that does not take away enough to prevent Duice from securing the number 2 spot. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, the moment we've all been waiting for, coming in at our number 1 spot, we have got Buried, an absolute classic Juggernog location. The first thing I want to cover is the location on the map itself, which is absolutely perfect. It is right near the mystery box. It is near Leroy's cage. It is fairly close to the bank and where all the wall gun chalk is. It's not too far from the saloon and the candy shop. Just overall solid spot. But the main reason why this comes in at the number 1 spot is the Juggernog location itself. And while yes, first of all, it is a tight corridor, there is no escape route, so you could in theory get trapped, but that is completely overridden by the fact that this Juggernog location provides you with one of the best camping spots in all of Zombies. I mean, it's a long, narrow corridor where the zombies just file in perfectly. They can't spawn behind you or beside you, which is just absolutely perfect for camping. And I also love the fact that the most doors that you will have to open to access this Juggernog location is 1. And that's because of the fact that you have to use Leroy to break down the barrier that's in between you and the Juggernog spot. And so in theory, if you want to access this Juggernog location, all you have to do is drop down, open up Leroy, open up the saloon, grab the booze and get him to smash the Juggernog location, and it's right there. It's absolutely perfect and it provides you with a great camping spot. And so ultimately, when you consider all that, I don't feel like there is a Juggernog location better and more iconic than this one. And so for that, Buried secures the number 1 spot. I hope you did enjoy the video, ladies and gentlemen. Feel free to like, comment and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.